What's going on, guys? Back. I know it's been a while, practically a week. A lot of stuff going on. Um, just saw the Danny Jacobs versus Canelo Alvarez. First off, shout out to both men. I actually really enjoyed the fight. I thought it was really good. Canelo Alvarez is now the WBC, WBA, IBF, and Lineal Ring Magazine middleweight champion, and I think rightfully so. Um, I do not think it was a dominant affair whatsoever. I thought the fight actually reminded me a lot of Canelo when he fought Austin Trout. I thought Jacobs and Trout were both busier than Canelo, but Canelo was landing the more eye-catching, and it was a bit more eye-catching shots. And it was a bit more consistent, but I enjoyed the fight. I thought it was really good. I thought a lot of the rounds were tough to score. I thought rounds 4 and 5, Canelo might have won those rounds based on most of his defense, just because Jacobs couldn't land a solid shot. And even though Canelo didn't land a lot of punches, particularly in those rounds, he was landing the real eye-catching shots. And because Jacobs couldn't land really anything in that fourth and fifth round, he kind of won those rounds. Canelo won those rounds mostly off his defense. I thought his defense was just really phenomenal. Um, Canelo still seems to have struggled to have effective offensive output beyond the seventh round. He still kind of struggles with that, but his defense is just his defense is up there. Um, I can't lie. This dude is up there. He might have the best defense in boxing, at least when it comes to upper body movement. His defense is sweet. Um, didn't have a crazy combination. I mean, both guys are really evenly matched. I thought. The one problem I didn't like about Jacobs and his performance, his jab to me was he was pity patting that jab too much. I wanted to see more of a crispy jab, more of a firm power jab. Step into his jab. I think he should have jabbed his body more. The few times Jacobs had Canelo on the ropes, I wish he would have just slightly backed up a little bit and threw shorter shots. To me, his combination punching was a bit wide, and that's the one thing I don't like about Jacobs. I think he's a good combination puncher, but his punches are kind of wide, so you can catch him, or at the very least, you can slip him. The tougher shots to counter or the ones to even slip are the short shots. Looping and wide punches, you can see those shots coming. So, and for a defensive savant like Canelo, um, that's just not a good idea. I wish Jacobs would have had a stiffer jab. He did have a bit of a slow start. I think the first round or two, he started kind of slow. Um, but I had it Canelo 7 rounds to 5. I thought it was very close. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of Canelo versus Trout. I thought it was an entertaining boxing match, in my opinion. I think people are anticipating a bit more of a little bit more action, but when you got guys that are at the top 5 in their division, typically you don't get as many knockdowns or knockouts. Not saying never, but it just doesn't happen as often because you are having literally the elite guys of the division going at it. So I thought it was a really good fight, though. I really enjoyed it. The rounds were tough to score, but I think Canelo was the right winner. I think whoever judged it 115 to 113, I think was spot on. Um, I wouldn't mind to see them run it back. I doubt it would happen, but it seems like the zone's pretty heavy on having Canelo versus Triple G3, which is it's cool. I think Canelo's actually kind of over it. I think some of the fans are kind of over it just because with Clenbuterol and just how it went down with the first 2 fights. I think Triple G beat Canelo in the first one, but I thought Canelo beat Triple G in the rematch. Um, and just because Triple G's fighting Steve Rolls and then immediately gets a Canelo shot, not really cool with that. I'd rather see Triple G beat Demetrius Andrade and then have an all-out undisputed match between him and Canelo. I think that's a bit more fair. Um, you know, I don't think Canelo's going to fight Demetrius Andrade next. That's still a tricky style for him. Though I think Canelo could beat Andrade. Um, Canelo's defense is I was his defense is legit, man. Love his counter punching ability. Didn't quite have the combination display I thought he would have, but not too surprised because Jacobs was at a decent distance. I thought Jacobs should have fought uh, more like how he did in those late middle rounds, like rounds 8, 9, 10. He was a bit more aggressive. He pushed Canelo back more. I think he had more success in those rounds. I think the judges had him winning all three of those rounds in a close fight. So I think when Jacobs, I, I don't like his footwork enough as a boxer to try to outbox Canelo on the outside. Again, I think sometimes he was a bit too close when he threw combinations, and when he was trying to box, he was not far enough. And I don't think I liked his jab wasn't crispy enough to me. Though I think he had the right idea, I don't think he was as sharp of a boxer enough to beat Canelo in that fashion. I think he had a better chance in going more for broke. But I know some people said Canelo won easy or dominated. I disagree completely. It was not a dominant fight whatsoever. I thought the rounds were very tough to score. I do think Canelo was the right winner, but I don't see how Canelo dominated. I don't know what you were watching. If you think Canelo dominated Jacobs, please explain it to me. Um, I think Canelo landed 180 punches and Jacobs landed 130. Um, like I said, Canelo was landing the more eye-catching shots, the cleaner shots. Um, didn't land as many body punches as I thought he would have, but again, it's tougher when you're fighting, guys at a higher level. So, he's not Rocky Fielding. So, but both guys really impressed me, though. Like I said, Canelo's defense was really on point. I thought he was just a tad sharper, just in most facets. Definitely the defense. I thought his jab was sharper, which kind of worries me when a smaller fighter has a sharper jab. That's kind of worrisome. Um, I thought Jacobs pity patted his jab too much. I wish he would have stepped into his jab a bit more. I wish he himself would have worked to the body more and just tighten up those combination punches. Again, I think Jacobs had the right idea, but it's a bit sloppy. Like he's not a bad boxer, but he's kind of a sloppy boxer, if that makes sense. I think you have to really be on your fundamental shit if you want to beat Canelo Alvarez. Andre could beat him, but I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. Charlo could beat him, but it's not going to be an easy fight. And I think they both, Charlo and Andre, need a big fight experience. I actually do think they could use a fight versus a Triple G or Davranchenko or even against a Jacobs. Guys who have been under pressure, under the bright lights in a big fight. Because Canelo's experience is legit. You forget he started when he was 15. And he's 28 going on 29, so 13-year pro. Hell of a resume. Him and Danny Garcia probably got the two best resumes in all of boxing. So, really good fight, though. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good boxing match. Entertaining, but still a boxing match. But I thought it was a really good fight. I don't know. The zone seems like they're pressuring for Triple G3, so that's probably what's going to happen next. Like I said, it's cool. I don't care to see it immediately. I think Triple G should earn his stripe and get, earn that third fight. But, the zone did give Canelo a lot of money, so at the zone, they had a couple of fights scrapped on the card. I think Dave Lemieux was supposed to fight, but he couldn't make it because of health. They've had a couple of other fights fall in the past. So the zone, I would imagine right now they're probably in the red. I don't think they're in the black right now in terms of their subscriptions and stuff like that. Because they haven't really promoted the fights. Them, ESPN. I told you guys before, ESPN didn't promote Terrence Crawford versus Khan very well. I heard their pay-per-view numbers did well under 150,000 K. So, told you can't promote these fights last minute and expect people to buy it. DAZN, they upped their subscriptions from $10 per month to $20, and The undercard, it had decent names under it, like JoJo Diaz. I like JoJo Diaz. He's a good boxer. I think it was his first fight at 130. He looked good. Um, Ortiz looked really good. Nice prospect. Just keep building. Um, I like Ortiz a lot. He's good, scrappy young fighter. Just keep him busy. But the card wasn't super fantastic. The main event was really good though. I thought it was a really good fight. And for Jacobs, I don't think he should hang it. I thought he had a very good performance. There's just a few things he could tighten up. And the thing with Canelo, if the fight rounds that are competitive, most of those rounds are going to go towards Canelo. So, and I thought a lot of the rounds were competitive, but I don't think the scorecards were that bad. Historically, judges have been pretty shaky when it comes to Canelo fights, but I thought actually the scorecards were about right. 115, 113. I think one had it for 116, 112. It's cool. Long as the right guy won, that's what mostly matters. Surprised it wasn't like a split or majority decision, but I thought it was a very competitive fight. For Jacobs, he's still a top five middleweight. I don't know who he would fight at the end of the year. Um, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think who else is at middleweight. Maybe you could fight a Rob Brandt. No, Rob Brandt's fighting Murata in a rematch. I don't know if they're doing that again in Japan or maybe Minnesota. I don't know. That's a decent fight. I would like to see Jamal Charlo face Devlinchenko should he get past Brandon Adams. I think that's. I think Jamal Charlo does need that fight because he did struggle with Matt Korobov, who's a good fighter. Don't get that twisted. But I think Charlo does need a little bit more experience for the Canelos, the Triple Gs. I think he can beat anybody in the division, but I would like to see him get some stiffer competition. Brandon Adams, no disrespect to him, but I don't see how he beats Charlo at all. Unless Charlo completely underestimates him, I don't see how he wins. But the middleweight division got some players. Triple G's still a good fighter. Canelo's really good. Jacobs is still a dog. Charlo, Andrade, they got some history. Maybe they can make that happen. I do want Charlo to face Canelo. I think that's the best fight at middleweight, to be honest. But I don't know because Charlo, he's kind of like the Terrence Crawford of the division. He's kind of the odd man out. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he can somehow finagle his way into getting a fight on DAZN. I would love to see Charlo versus Triple G too. I think those are really good fights. All those fights are good. Charlo versus Jacobs or Andrade or Triple G, Canelo. Just round robin that. It's a stacked division. You got a lot of good fighters. If Canelo does become undisputed by this time next year, dude is up there, man. Pound for pound status. Um, Still a close win, but I mean that's kind of expected when you're at this level. Floyd and Pacquiao are really anomalies. When they're beating top guys fairly easily. It's really tough to do. So, but I thought Canelo looked really good in there. Sky's the limit. Keeps getting better in every fight. So salute to the man. He's I think he's a 3-belt holder now. Unified champ, lineal champ. Not sure who he's going to face next. Like I said, probably Triple G at the end of the year, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, Trilogy's cool, but I don't think it has to happen next. I don't even think the fans are really clamoring for it like that. But hey, it is what it is. So let me know what you guys think about Jacobs and Canelo. Let me know what you guys think of their future. What do you think? Who do you think Canelo will fight next? How do you think Jacobs will bounce back? What other middleweight players you think have a shot versus Canelo or Triple G? Definitely like, subscribe. Y'all take it easy.